All right, so we have here Margot Viola, growth director here at Compass, dear friend, and I've known you for years, maybe 3 or 4 years. You've definitely been here at Compass, and this is exciting because I never actually had the chance to do this with you, which is great.
I agree.
And it's always been a mystery to me a little bit with the strategic growth or growth director did. I know you guys talk to a lot of real estate agents and bring them at here at Compass. But I want to just tell me more about you that most people don't know about. How did you end up here at Compass and your journey to get here?
Great. All right. Well, I'm psyched to be here. It was interesting. I feel like it happened. I saw the role about Compass. I had been just started investing in real estate. So I was interested in real estate, and I was in the process of starting a coaching company. But I saw the role and I couldn't stop thinking about it. It required, as they described it, like high emotional intelligence, and we were launching a new market. So Compass was a company that was established, but not in our area. So I liked the entrepreneurial aspect of it. And then I was like, finally, I'd been thinking about it for a month. I was like, okay, if I get assigned today, I'm going to apply to this role. And then within the hour, a bus drove by that had Compass on it.
Seriously?
And I had never seen a bus. It was on my street before or after with the Compass sign. So I was like, okay, this is a sign. And a couple of other weird circumstances happened during the interview process, and I just always felt like it was kind of meant to be.
That's so great. Where,
Yeah.
where were you living when you saw the bus? What?
I was in Brewery Town.
Brewery Town.
Yeah, and so it went up 27th Street.
That's so great.
It's a nice job marketing team, whatever they did. Yeah.
Yeah, they did a good job, and I've seen them, but what year was that when the bus? Because it was new back then, right?
2018, yeah.
2018. Okay, so they were just getting into the market, and they were starting to make some noise.
Exactly. It was, I think, one of the it was the first marketing investment that was made for some reason on the bus wraps.
And have you always been in this type of role before you joined Compass?
I've often been in growth roles at like innovative companies, but working like this is sales, but it's also recruiting, and I had never been in like a recruiting role. But what I've often worked with entrepreneurs like directly, and so what I really like about it is every agent is an entrepreneur, a CEO, and so it's really all about like getting to know their business, getting to know them, and helping understand could a move like this really help them get to where they want to go faster, personally and professionally.
Awesome. And how has it been? Like, what are the things that you've been learning about the real estate agent over the past few years?
Highly motivated. There are very few lines between personal and professional because their business is their life. And they're highly motivated to serve and support their clients. The ones that I've worked with, at least, I have the fortune of working with. I think is unique about this business, there's a lot of family aspects. I've worked with a lot of husband and wives, mothers, daughters, fathers, right? So I think that's a unique aspect of the business. And it's the fact that every year you start at zero, right? Like no one's giving you business. You're kind of figuring it out. So I think often it's about understanding what's the bigger why behind it, right? Most people, yes, they love selling, but they're doing this for another reason. And I try and really understand what that bigger motivation is, because that's the most important part.
Is this something that you brought into your, I guess, process when talking with a real estate agent to joining Compass, as far as discovering their why and
Absolutely, yeah. It's like, so I call it like our discovery conversation, but it's there's of course like the obvious things about how do you run your business, what do you want it to look like, what are your goals for this year, for the next couple. But then it's kind of like, well, why are you doing all of this? And I try and get them to talk about the home that they want to build or the future that they see for themselves, because until you can really connect to that component, I feel like there's less compelling reasons to make any move in any direction.
I love that. So I want to talk to you more about that. I'm curious about the process itself. So initially, how's the process like when you're reaching out to someone about making a move, right? Because a lot of real estate agents, not everyone, but a lot of them, they feel good where they are, right? They don't want to make any changes. Like if it's not broken, why change it, right? Mm-hmm. So tell me more about that. How's that initial conversation, and what are some of the challenges you face, during that?
Yeah. Well, it's evolved a lot. So when we were brand new to the market, and when you launch any market, you really want to start with the best agents, not just the highest producers, but like the well-liked, the well-respected, the good people. And so, which there's a lot of those, but finding and identifying those is super important. And as you would imagine, they're pretty well taken care of, as they should be. So just even getting into the conversation, there's some elements of creativity, as well as just good old-fashioned picking up the phone and calling and having, in the first 30 seconds, a reason why they're going to want to talk to you.
You know what, tell me more about this. So what is that? So like, tell me an example of that.
You got to demonstrate that this is not one of 25 calls that you're making, that you know them, you know research, you've done the research on their business, and you understand what's a little bit unique about them. Often, the best way that we really moved forward after those first couple of agents was getting recommendations for our current agents, because you all transact every day. You know who's good, who's professional, who's ethical, who you want to work with, and so just having that knowledge and being able to say that when someone picks up the phone, or even better, getting an introduction, always helps to go from being a cold call to a warm introduction. But then also distinguishing, like, I know you get these calls all the time. Can I give you 30 seconds to give you an understanding of why this might be a little bit different? And then you better nail what you're going to say, which is, I think it comes down to, we only serve full-time experienced professional agents, and everything that we do is invested into helping agents have a better quality of life and grow their business and income. And I'd love to, I've done a bunch of research about your business. I'd love to share and, learn more about you and share a couple ideas about what that might look like. So, I don't know, that wasn't perfect, but like I take a unique angle with every agent. It looks a little bit different.
And for the most part, you're basically scheduling a meet, or is that the goal, to schedule an appointment with them to come in or meet, and tell me more about that initial meeting.
Yeah, and so that evolved too. It used to all be every single day in the office, meeting with agents, or coffees if they didn't want to come into the office. And then COVID changed everything. So overnight, we went fully virtual. And so a lot of the agents that I recruited during 2020, 21, I never met a single time, which is kind of interesting. So either way, the initial conversation is much more focused on them than about Compass, for sure, because there's so much we could talk about, but if I don't know what's important to them, then I'm going to be wasting everybody's time. But I need to get them to understand and trust me enough to share what their goals are, why they care about, why they care about those goals, what their challenges are to getting there, et cetera. And then from there, it's kind of showing them what that looks like and how it could be different. And it's not just me, right? Like, because Compass is so much more than just me. So I try and pull in the right team members that would be supporting them, the marketing professionals, the sales managers, the coaching that they would have access to. I connect them with other agents that joined at a similar point in their business, similar goals, and can speak to the success that they've seen. Sometimes connect them to agents in other markets. It's really not a one-size-fits-all, but at the end of the day, it's what's important to them, where are they trying to go, and then succinctly show them how Compass can get them there faster. And then it's very much of like not a math conversation, but a financials, right? No one's making this move to make less money. So demonstrating how we're going to help them create more value for their clients and put more money in their pocket.
And are you doing that in that second meeting, I'm assuming, or third meeting, or like how is it? I know it's different, right?
Yeah, I would say on average it's like 2 to 3 meetings to go through that whole process.
Okay, and when you're going through the financials part and demonstrating to them how they're going to be able to grow at Compass, right, and make more money, have a better quality of life, are you doing that in person or through Zoom, or is it something that you're sending them out, like an email or a proposal that way?
It's both. Often, if I'm demonstrating the platform, if we're in person, I'll have it up on a screen. If we're meeting virtually, I'll have it up on a screen, virtually. If we're walking through the financial analysis, I often do like a side-by-side comparison. Let's look at your structure today. Let's look at what this would look like at Compass. Let's plug in some assumptions based on the data that we know to be true. And I also want to be clear, this is not just do you like A or B better decision? There's a big emotional component to this, and so I need to also prepare them because loyalty, comfort, fear, those are the top three factors why agents would hesitate about making a move. And so kind of it's a journey. We go on a journey together to kind of assess if this is the right move.
I agree, actually. And how do you deal with those three factors? Obviously, the loyalty, it's there. Right? I think more importantly is also fear and how they're going to be judged, fear of just like even changing things. Like, how are you helping agents kind of get through that? Because I know there's a level of some sort of coaching, right?
Yeah.
It's interesting that you were about to do coaching business prior to this, which is it's different, but also at the same time, it helps you utilize some of the skills too, right?
Absolutely. So I definitely use a lot of those skills in my day-to-day conversations, and I still coach on the side. So I look at them as very translatable. How do you get them past it? Yeah, humans don't like change. Like innately, we are comfort. In many cases, we prefer the comfort of what we know versus what we don't. So it's helping them really clearly see that there is a better future. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with what they've been doing or that the people that they're around are good people. They absolutely are. But if you've told me your goals are to double your business next year, what's going to change? Like, what are you doing or what is the brokerage doing to help you to get there? Here's very specifically how we would help you to do that. Here's how we've helped thousands of other agents to do that. And then it's also, I try and bring them into, because so much of like the power of Compass is the people and the energy and this environment of growth mindset. So that was a challenge in COVID too. Like how do you get someone to experience that if you can't bring them into the office? But we've worked out different ways to do that, and that's where it comes down to connecting with other agents or the people that would be supporting them.
That's amazing. Let's say you get someone, for example, that says to you, hey, maybe it's the second meeting or third meeting, and then you get them, they call you or text you back and say, hey, Marco, that's great. Thanks for your time. I don't want to waste your time because I'm not thinking of making a move right now. But I'm looking forward to, seeing you around, right? How do you handle that type of objection?
Dagger in the heart. I hate when they do that. But no, I first of all, I don't think Compass is for everyone, nor is this move right for everyone in the moment that we're talking. So I try and genuinely put myself in their shoes. But based on what I know or what we've already talked about at that point, if I really feel like there is a reason to take a second look, I convey that. So it's kind of like, listen, I assure you, you're not wasting my time. This is what I do. This is what I love to do. And the reason I think we should at least have another conversation is because X, Y, and Z also didn't think that this was right for them. But when they got a better look or understanding of what was possible, right? So I try and like social proof a little bit around with the people that they know.
Okay.
If it was earlier days, it's often around, like, there's a lot of things that I think Compass does and things about that other brokerages don't. So if I have a little bit of information about what's important to them, matching that with, if I feel that they're going to be most driven by financial terms, would you be interested in at least understanding how I think we could help you close 4 more listings this year? But if they're not at all interested in that and they're just burnt out, because that's another one. Some people have been so busy over the last few years, it's like, I just don't have time to think about this. And it's like, well, ironically, everything that we do here is meant to help you to streamline your day-to-day and actually give you more time back in your day. So if we can take 30 minutes and I can show you how we can save you 5 hours a week, would that be worth your time? So it's acknowledging them where they are, but then challenging a bit.
As far as like when you're speaking with agent, I know that Compass vets up a lot of these agents, right? And there's recommendations, so that process is good. But sometimes, you may get someone that's going to weed themselves out. Like, in your experience, like, how does it happen, that path? Are they usually just like, they're interested, but then not so interested? Or, like, have you had any of that happen before?
For sure, yeah. Weed themselves up. I mean, fear, like, often multiple things can come up. Certainly, like, life happens, and so there's been times where someone just, a passing in the family or an illness or something, or it's just, like, not the right time. But others weed themselves up because they talk themselves out of it. They get excited in that initial conversation, but then take the weekend and are like, I can't do this. This is scary. Those are the worst. So I try and at least get back on the phone with them. Reconnect to why they were excited in the first place.
Before they were texting, calling, then you get an you you're like, no.
Yeah, exactly.
I think
it's
fear,
like
right?
dating a little bit, So it's like you gotta, you can kind of feel when someone's like pulling back. Yeah.
Yeah. So as you're having these meetings, you're talking to agents, like what are some, I know it's different per agent, but typically speaking, what's like one or two things that tend to be the most important thing to agents when they're looking to make a move or they're looking for a new home basically?
Ability to make more money, like and focusing on net income versus split is like a very important one, because I think a lot of agents are conditioned to look at split, but the income is key.
I know.
Better quality of life. So how can you achieve exactly what you're doing, but with a much more efficiency and less time? Bring more value to their clients. So there's a lot of parts of the real estate buying and selling experience that are clunky. If we can help streamline and make it easier, agents want to know about that. And help them just grow personally and kind of like, sometimes it's just feel a little bit stuck in where they are and want to understand what else is possible for them.
Going to like feeling stuck where they are when they're discussing with you their goals, I'm sure you kind of get into what some of the challenges they have where they're at, right? Or maybe the things they want to be doing that they are not doing where they're
Right.
at. Like, what are those things that they usually bring up?
The number one thing that every agent knows they should do more of but don't is like have a CRM, nurture a CRM, create marketing, be like just do more activity.
Mm-hmm.
But when they get busy, the number one thing that falls to the bottom of the list is like creating marketing content or doing the touches they know they should do. So showing them ways to do those, which are some of the most important things that an agent needs to do, but showing them ways to do it, because a lot of times it comes down to just like being inundated with like creating a marketing postcard for some agents used to take them an hour, like a ridiculous amount of time, which it just shouldn't. So showing them how there is a much easier way to do it
Mhm.
here at Compass. Yeah.
Margot, when you're making that initial call or outreach to someone, and how are you getting to get them to see that this is something that a meeting they should take? At the least, just if they have no interest, and I'm sure where they're at, actually, it's like it's a great brokerage or a great team, but maybe they want to see what the competition is doing.
Well, so often they don't, right? So agents are very focused on the world right in front of them, right? Their buyers, their sellers, where are they creating future business? So I think anything outside of that is often looked at as a distraction. But I also think it's very important to know, like to pick the head up and kind of know what's going on in the industry and what other top agents across the country are thinking about. So what I often say is like, by no means does us having a conversation mean that you're moving, but you've obviously had success in this business. Unless, sometimes if someone tells me they're retiring in the next year or two, probably doesn't make sense to have a conversation. But for someone that's going to be here for more than 1 to 2 years, you should at least know what the top brokerage is doing to serve their agents and how they're investing differently. I often say, like, I promise you're not going to leave here without new ideas and insights, and you can walk out the door and take those with you, or you might look at your business differently and want to continue the conversation. But it is definitely not going to be a waste of your time or mine for you to at least understand how we've managed to support and recruit some of the top agents across the country, and most importantly, retain them. Because I think I would not be good at my job if I didn't think that we were delivering on the value that we kind of promised in the beginning.